So at the arse end of 2023, the internet was set ablaze, or at least lightly singed, with rumours that the Asus Zenfone 11 was worm food. According to those web whisperings, Asus had scrapped the Zenfone range entirely, so any new flagship phones were about as likely as James Corden winning any award ever, other than of course the Andrew Tate Medal for Chief Bellendery. But thankfully, this online gossip turned out to be total trouser. Not only has Asus itself confirmed the Zenfone 11's existence, but we've also seen some online leakery shenanigans recently, showing off this miniature hero in all of its diminutive glory. So what is the deal with that Asus Zenfone 11, and will it be a formidable opponent to Samsung's Galaxy S24, which recently had a special spot in your Uncle Spurt's pants? Well, let's do a wee jingle and find out. TechSpurt Weekly! Now, in a recent spot of top-drawer online sleuthing, 9to5 Google spied what appears to be an actual photo of the Zenfone 11 in the Google Play console, as well as what could be some of those fresh new specs. And this here seemingly innocuous page heralds potentially slightly bad news, if it's not all just a massive barrel of dangly bits, of course. You see, just like last year's Zenfone 10, it appears that the Zenfone 11 will once again come packing a Full HD display, but according to that wee spec sheet, the pixels per inch count is listed as 420 ppi. So bloody what, you bold malingering git, I hear you cry. Well, that's the same resolution as the Zenfone 10, but a smaller pixels per inch count, which means the screen size may have grown. And using my immense maths brain / an online screen resolution calculator, if these figures are accurate, it means that the Zenfone 11 actually sports a 6.2 inch display. Big step up from the 5.9 incher of last year. In fact, it's basically the same size now as Samsung's Galaxy S24 flagship, which coincidentally I just reviewed right here on TechSpurt. And a jolly good video that one is too, so why not give it a thoroughly bloody good watch right after you finish this one, eh? See, if it's not all total codswallop, then it appears that that's basically it. We're not going to get any smartphones that are actually under 6 inches in 2024. The age of the truly mini mobile is over. Bugger! Well, thankfully the S23 is fairly comfortable to use one-handed. A lot less awkward than fumbling around with an almighty 7-incher. If only I had your mum's dexterity. Another design change is that selfie orifice, which has now apparently drifted towards the middle, whereas previously it was wedged away in a corner like an unruly child. I'm not a fan of that either, but then I'm just a proper miserable twat, aren't I? The other specs on show aren't too surprising. You can expect the Asus Zenfone 11 to be powered by Qualcomm's fresh new Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, nice and beefy and backed by 16 gigs of that lovely RAM stuff. The 8 Gen 3 is slightly more powerful than Samsung's Exynos 2400, which powers the S24, while 16 gigs is double the RAM you get packed into that Galaxy jobby. Plus, in my testing, I did find that smartphones powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 rather than the Exynos do enjoy longer battery life, especially when you're indulgent in more intensive tasks like shooting video or wandering aimlessly about in Genshin Impact. And also, Samsung only found room for a dinky 4000 mAh capacity battery inside of the Galaxy S24. The Zenfone 11 should comfortably have that beat, given that last year's Zenfone 10 somehow crammed in a 4300 mAh battery, despite being under 6 inches. So all signs so far point to a more powerful, longer-lasting compact smartphone compared with the Galaxy S24. Very little is known so far about the camera hardware slapped onto the Zenfone 11, but it'll have to be pretty good to beat the Galaxy S24's trio of capable shooters. And likewise, we don't know if Asus has downed a pint of that same AI punch that Samsung has been quaffing recently. Will we see lots of AI-type features bunged onto the Zenfone 11 to help you shoot and edit better-looking photos or get a better gaming experience? Who knows, but you can at least expect a lovely stock Android experience the same as previous Zenphones, which means no mother-loving Bigsby. Huzzah! So certainly, all things considered, the Asus Zenfone 11 should be hot competition for the Galaxy S24, which I really enjoyed using as my full-time smartphone recently. But no spoilers, go check out that review, aye? But what do you reckon? Are you tempted to wait for that Zenfone, which hopefully should be launching around sort of March, April time this year? Or are you already pulling on your Samsung pants and cheering for the S24? Well, pretty pleased with a big hot dollop of fudge on top? Let us know down in the comments below, and who knows, perhaps your insightful commentary will be read aloud next week to a small online audience, most of whom are drunk, confused, angry, or a mixture of all three. And speaking of which, now it's time for the part of the show that involves more people complaining about bad language than an entire series of points of view. A reference that roughly 12 people will get, but f*** it all to b***. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Right, so let's start this week with Jesse Boy Ureet. He says, I realised I could just mute the video and simply watch the cat in the background take care of itself. Just as fun, honestly. Instead of actually reviewing phones, I really should just shoot a video of them sat there on the desk while my cat sits next to them and gives himself a thorough tonguing. Or maybe just start an entirely different channel altogether. Cat Spurt. Actually, that sounds all kinds of wrong, just forget I said that. Duke says, hey Uncle Spurt, why don't you move to Spain? 27 degrees yesterday and booze is cheap. I just rub it in, why don't you? Yeah, believe me, I would absolutely love to bugger off to Spain and spend my days quaffing Estrella Damm and hoying tapas down my throat. Get some photo samples that aren't just perpetually grey. Baz Anime says, not gonna lie, Mystic Meg was quite a looker. I mean, I remember vaguely being slightly terrified of her, but also probably a wee bit turned on because I was mid-teens and therefore absolutely horny about anything with a pulse. In fact, back then even a slight breeze would get me going. But yeah, in an actual full-on lovemaking session, I reckon Mystic Meg would absolutely destroy me. It's been nothing left but dust. Which probably actually describes Mystic Meg these days. But anyway, moving on. Jason McMeekin says, QVC UK was selling the Samsung Galaxy S24 last night for 469 quid. When I saw it, I laughed so much I nearly turd emoji'd my pants. Gotta admit, I'm actually more surprised that QVC is even actually still a thing. Still fleecing pensioners with their overpriced tat. Great times. I mean, if QVC's still going, does that mean that the likes of Babe Station are still going as well? Used to love watching that back in the day when I'd stagger home from the pub. Right, 2 a.m. you'd switch on the TV and there was some disinterested looking woman spread out on a couch, filing her nails and stifling a yawn while occasionally getting randy texts from middle-aged men asking her to rub rice pudding into her tits while doing a Mr. Blobby impression. Actually, in a way, I guess that was kind of a precursor to all this weird TikTok live bullshit. Anyway, we're slipping down some real rabbit holes tonight. Only 2 comments in and already we're banging on about Babe Station and shagging Mystic Meg. Let's get ourselves back on track. And Goody123 says, I like your wallpaper, please. Where can I get this kind of wallpaper? Wall.alphacoders.com. Wall.alphacoders.com. That's where my wallpapers come from. Wall.alphacoders.com. DP Chris says, mate, I missed the Statham meter in your reviews. You know what? That's a really good point. I don't know why I ever sort of stopped doing that. I'll definitely look to bring that back again because there's no review/video on earth that can't be improved with a bit of Statham action. Aswad says, more profanity please, we're British. Has Mr. Wangsock considered running for PM? I mean, give it a few more months, he'll be pretty much the only one in the country who hasn't had a go at it. It's kind of scary. We've gone through more prime ministers in the last few years than Sunderland's gone through managers. That really is saying a lot. The Pieman says, how much does Mr. Wangsock pay you to be his sidekick? Nah, it's more just the prestige of being seen with me. Gives this slaphead a little bit of credibility. Now, the subject of last week's show was, of course, Honor's bendy wonder, the Magic V2, which I should actually just go get. Here we are. So most of the remarks on this bendy bugger seem to be about the price of it. LV2355 says, the Magic V2 is stupid expensive in Europe. That's twice the price in China after 6 months. Merville says that that's an expensive spaff. And Gumpster says, £1,700 ... for a phone. I mean, I can't really argue. I mean, it's just the price of big, bendy, foldable phones in general. I mean, that's the one drawback of the OnePlus Open. I love that thing, but it's basically the same frickin' price tag. If you fancy one, you can consider your wallet well and truly rinsed. Shiny Senpai actually has one. He says, I really love using mine. The battery life is amazing and it's so light. Lots to look forward to with Honor from here. Just wish the screen was a bit brighter outdoors. The camera is absolutely more than fine for 90% of people. Yeah, as far as the screen shenanigans go, I really hope we see a lot more of the Gorilla Glass armor that we saw on the S24 Ultra starting to come to other flagships, because seriously, the amount that cut down on reflections means you don't even have to worry about the screen brightness so much. Jalilab says, dunk it in water and do a water test. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because it's not certified water resistant, and if I break it, then I owe Honor £1,700. Do you know how much bloody whiskey I can buy with £1,700? Theseus Blackwell says, undebatably a video I am watching. Strong work, Theseus, I like you. User, and then a whole bunch of letters and numbers, says, why measure phones from corner to corner diagonally and not top to bottom? I guess because different screens have different aspect ratios is the incredibly boring answer to that question. Bry6314 says, any idea what's happened to Realme? They seem to have run away. I'll tell you what, mate, I've heard absolutely bugger all from Realme for several months now. I'm really hoping they haven't done an Oppo and just sodded right off out of the country. It's not looking too good on that front though. Bonus Baby says, Uncle Spurt, read my comment. There you go, that was easy. Less complicated tech questions and more easily fulfillable stuff like that, please. Zinc121 says, don't you have to edit out swear words now? I'll certainly try and bleep out the worst offenders, the c***s and the f***s and the sh**s, but if I try and cut out every single wanker and knob and twat, I'll be editing for days. And there'd be so much bleeping you'd think a car alarm was going off outside. RAJ site or Raja site says, you are reading Dr. Stone? I've read a few chapters now, and frankly, it's absolutely batshit bonkers, so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue, but I am smashing my way through all the Hellboys at the moment, which I'm very much enjoying. Fishin' Steve says, OMG, I love to see your handsome beard and beautiful scalp in 2160p. Yeah, it's what those ultra high resolutions were made for, certainly. I certainly wouldn't call it a handsome beard. I probably wouldn't even call it a beard, to be honest. It's more just a couple of days of I really can't be asked to shave. And I'm just going to assume that that entire comment was absolutely dripping with sarcasm and then move swiftly on. Stuart Meek says, I assume due to your blood alcohol level that vodka is a suitable replacement for whiskey. Gotta admit, I've never really been a fan of vodka at all, but then I've only really ever had the proper supermarket stuff, or the stuff that they wouldn't even put on a supermarket shelf from some of the dingiest Sunderland bars and clubs. And even then, it's always been shoved inside of some horrific drink like a TVR, Tequila Vodka Red Bull. That was my Sunderland favourite. So yeah, perhaps I just haven't had the good stuff yet, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I certainly couldn't drink it neat, but if anyone's got any recommendations for vodka which is very quaffable, then I'm willing to give it a go. Next up, Crowladair says, please start a Socks of Love charity for your subbies in Oz, Uncle Spurt. There you go, it's a call to arms for all of the Spurtons out there. Bung your soggy spaff socks into a box and send them over to Australia, help our Aussie chums. And very low on time this week, thanks mostly to the Galaxy S24 shenanigans that's been going on, so I better make this the final comment. Saturn Blue says, forget the Australian spiders, you should be worried about the drop bears. I mean, I know in Oz you got some pretty wild stuff going on, but is that a literal name? Like, are we talking about a bear that drops out of a tree onto your head and bites your f***ing face off? Really am running out of time, but I've absolutely got to Google the shit out of this one. Drop bear Australia. Well, according to War Great Mate Wikipedia, the drop bear is a hoax in contemporary Australian folklore, featuring a predatory carnivorous version of the koala. This imaginary animal is commonly spoken about in tall tales designed to scare tourists. Oh, I love this. Advice for avoiding drop bear attacks includes spreading Vegemite behind your ears or in your armpits, urinating on oneself, or only speaking English in an Australian accent, thus heavily insinuating, of course, that drop bears are massive racists. So thanks for that, and to everyone else who commented last week, apologies if it didn't quite get to yours. Please do bang your thoughts down below, and we'll try and smash our way through as many of those as possible next week. And speaking of next week, what the f*** is next week? Well, next week on February the 5th, whichever friggin' day that is, Tuesday or something, the OnePlus 12R reviews embargo lifts, so potentially stay tuned for a bit of content on that. I'm also busy reviewing this bad boy right now. My sim is stuffed inside the Galaxy S24 Plus, so hopefully I have my full in-depth review of that for you next week, and a whole barrel full of other tech-related bollocks. In the meantime, have a bloody cracking weekend. Please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell. Love you!